Welcome to the Change Within podcast. This is Gerard Uselli here. We are on episode 27. Let me say, it really doesn't matter where people's perspectives are. Change is something we all can relate to. And this is a story that is very unique from the other episodes I've had. This person, back in my fundraising days, I met 2 years ago and have been a big fan of within the battle rap industry as far as this person's proclaiming, as far as how he got himself to where he is today. Two-time King of the Dot champion, Real Deal. Real Deal, how are you today?
Hey, man, I appreciate you for taking the time, man. I'm good, brother.
Awesome. So something I like to ask all of my guests who have been on Change Within is what your childhood was like growing up.
So we were pretty poor, you know what I mean? Like we grew up in Pittsburgh in a place called Mount Oliver, so it was pretty rough. But you know, when you're young, you're kind of oblivious to a lot of the stuff going on around you. You know what I mean? It wasn't until I had my son that I was like, man, I'd have never sent him to some of these schools and some of these. So it was, you know, but I had siblings, and you know what I'm saying, and you know, we got into knucklehead stuff, but nothing too crazy.
Absolutely. And kind of in that sense, because having siblings, especially during those vulnerable times, can make all the difference in the world. I was curious, as far as your siblings, do you feel like they were more aware in comparison to where you were were you kind of learning through them as far as the ropes of what your situation was?
So, you know, what's odd? I can't never pretend that we were all the closest. Like, we're all close in age. There was 4 of us. My sister passed. So like, you know, we're all within 5 years, but we all kind of did our own thing a little bit. Like, you know what I mean? But it was good because they knew the older kids on the block, you know, because I'm the youngest of the 4. So I definitely benefited from having siblings and watching them do something, and you know what I mean? Try to go a different route with it. But you know, again, I won't front like we're the tightest knit group, you know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, I definitely benefited from it for sure. But I think we all, because we're so close in age, you know what I mean? My oldest brother is only 4.5 years older than me. You know what I'm saying? So,
Especially in the construct of siblings, it does make a big difference as far as having that closest in age. It's very peer-to-peer as far as how you get along with each other and the sense of being willing to learn from one another as well.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
So kind of to fast forward a little bit. So you, of course, have a journey in doing battle rap, and rhyming is one of those things that we all go through in our learnings. So what I was curious about is, do you remember the first time you ever made like your rhymes? And do you feel like, when was like that time you feel like you had something in battle rap as well?
So me and my buddy used to, you know, we would go into the basement and like rap and record. But the first like rap that I wrote that I you know, that drew some interest was at a high school. And I was kind of a class clown, like a cut up. I was kind of, you know what I mean, obnoxious. And I used to give this English teacher the blues, man. And why it's super cool is I wrote, you know, like a piece for this contest called The Power of the Pen. Like all the schools were going there. And she selected me and took me on this field trip. Now, as a teacher, I don't know if I would do that if I had a kid who was constantly annoying me. Like, why would I want to look at? But I guess she liked the piece so much, she was able to overlook that. So she took me to this competition, and, you know, all the like nicer, bougier school kids was there, whatever. And I ended up winning it. In hindsight, it was a rap about Bush. All right. And like being against Bush or whatever the case may be, you know what I mean? This was 03 or something, right?
Oh, wow.
But I remember that feeling, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, people really like this. Like I really connected. So that was the first time I connected through rap. And like, kind of like I was saying, I was always a class clown kind of dude. Well, you know, where I went to school, man, people was roasting people constantly, not rap style, but they would just, everybody's poor, but you don't, you know, everybody's still trying to look like they're not, you know? So you had to be quick on your feet, quick with it. So I started noticing, I did a couple little rap battles or whatever, like And I noticed how much instant gratification that got. And at the time, like Wiz Khalifa was getting a push. And I'm like, well, my image is nothing like Wiz's, you know what I mean? Like, so I got to do something different, create my own. And there was actually this game we used to play called Rhyme Calisthenics. It was like a game show with a wheel, like a wheel of fortune. You'd spin
I remember
it,
that from back in the day.
Yeah, like Mac Miller was doing it.
Yep.
Like, you know what I mean? So we was all on that. And that was another thing, man. It was, I always equated to this, man. If I would walk up and say, here, listen to my track verse, here, watch this rap battle, you're more inclined to watch a rap battle. They're just more entertaining. So that's when I first, you know, was like, oh, okay, I can really do this rap stuff. And the battle rap is definitely a lane for me because I was like really doing well in Pittsburgh. And then I went down to Scribblejam in 2007. And it was actually a demoralizing experience. I went down, I won the first round, and I lost in the second round. It's Thesaurus. Now, at the time, Thesaurus was just untouchable in this Scribblejam format, man. Like he was. But what happened was, here I was thinking like, oh, when the footage comes out, they're gonna be like, yo, that dude was all right. Like he lost, but he was kind of dope. And I didn't even have a computer at the time. I was going to the library.
Oh, wow.
Anxiously signing in, anxiously waiting for it to drop. Well, when it finally drops, you know, some bootleg footage or whatever, bro, the internet, I wasn't ready for, I didn't know how savage these commenters could be, man. They're like,
even back then,
they're like, buddy should kill himself. He's the wackest dude I've ever heard. Blah, 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 blah. And I thought that was the first time I was like, man, maybe this ain't for me. Maybe I was just a big fish in a small pond, and this is a different. But so thankfully, you know, because for about 2 months I was like, yeah, I might be done with this. You know, I got my confidence back. I went down to Scribble 08, and I met Sonny Bamboo, and he was like, yo, you're dope. You was buddy from last year, and I was like, yeah, I kind of got smoked. He's like, Source smoked everybody. He was like, who cares? It was like, you know what I mean? He was like, I think you know what I mean. And that's when it finally put in perspective, like, who cares what the commenters say if your peers, you know? So, and then from there, yeah, I got into the Grindtime and everything like that.
I also think in the sense, it's kind of to go into the game show that you were a part of, the Rhyme Calisthenics, kind of leading into this question. As battle rap has made some big moves in getting on shows like Wild 'N Out, having feature films, and many celebrities impact over the years, how do you see the culture evolving?
So, well, the one unpredictable X factor is obviously COVID. I think COVID has certainly stifled the growth of battle rap a little bit. Obviously, you know, with URL going straight to the app with these caffeines and these small settings, I'm anxious to see what happens when the world opens back up, like for the, you know, with these huge crowds and reactions and whatnot. The thing that kind of ticks me off is these celebrities are battle rap fans, and it's super dope. But it's almost like they, you know, like I hate when like mainstream rappers act like if they wanted to, they can come in battle. It's like, no, bro, like this is a gladiator. Yeah, this is a gladiator sport. Like we don't get 30 takes in the studio and punches in and whatnot. So I don't know. I mean, it's, man, I just would hate if it got picked up by some kind of big network or something and made to look trash. You know what I'm saying? Or changed, man, because the way that we have the beauty of battle rap is how it naturally evolved from battle rappers. You know what I mean? Like literally Grindtime was started by 3 battle rappers. You know, King of the Dot was started by a battle rapper. Blueprints are laid and you know, at times copied, and that's not a bad thing. But yeah, light go. My bad. Yeah, man, it's a tough question, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember when I did the UFF thing for BET, they were like, yeah, we're doing all the battles in 2 days, but we're going to spread them out over, like, you know, 8 weeks, all summer. And I'm like, damn, so we're going to, you know, I don't know, man. You know what I'm saying? And it was very, like, I remember I delivered a line, and they're like, yo, say that one more time, and I'm like, this is weird. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Also to that point, and it gets interesting because then the premise of battle rap is the sense of reaction that the crowd gives to you based on the impact and the lines that you come up with. And not to say that the foundation of it has been compromised. However, it does sometimes lose its sight as far as that being a very essential part of it. And the corporatism behind battle rap, especially in the last 5 years, you're kind of doing like a teeter-totter effect as far as how you prioritize what's more important.
Right. And I think King of the Dot did a very good job with Twitch. Twitch didn't take anything, they didn't change anything. The formula was the same. You know, you can watch it live and comment, which was kind of a cool factor. I don't know, man. I'm anxious to see what happens, and again, what they would do with it. I think it's right on the verge of being picked up for some kind of big thing, but you know, we don't know, because I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. The expectation to compromise, you know, like is something. And battle rap has changed over many times since I've been, like, stuff you could say 6-7 years ago, you're not gonna say that nowadays. I mean, right. I understand that. I'm not saying change is always, like, you know, a bad thing, but yeah, I'm not sure on that one, man. You know, I know Method Man had to drop the mic thing. I did. Obviously, you know, celebrities rapping against each other, I don't care about, but I think it was dope that Method Man included battle rappers as writers. You know what I mean?
I'm going to make a point on something too. So this to me, I felt like was the best balancing act, especially during the times of COVID, when him and Math Hoffa battled each other for the internet. I felt like when a move like that happened, it was more of a unified approach, knowing that even in the sense of going against each other, they're both pushing the culture simultaneously.
And Method Man was incredible, man. And here's what's and I'd love to see Math grow into his own, like, entity himself beyond battle rap. Like, he's got his expert opinion show and that great stuff. Method Man, I always say this, man, the people in life that do stuff for people when it doesn't benefit them all, I mean, that's Method Man. Like, he don't owe battle rap nothing. He don't owe us anything. Right. But he's always showing love. He's done, like, a bunch of tracks with battle rappers. You know what I'm saying? He it's wild, man. It really, you almost want to be like, damn, like, that's, you know, I mean, the dude's he's on, you know, a movie star and all this stuff, but he's just like, he just loves battle rap so much, man. You know what I mean? He's given so much to the culture, you know what I mean? So, and that's what makes me, there's people like him, then there's other people who, like, mainstream battlers, like, yo, I would smoke someone in a battle. It's like, bro, this is, you know what I mean? Like, don't act like you could just at any time dabble in what we do. That's why it was so rewarding to see cannabis get smoked years ago. You know what I mean?
You know what this reminds me of, and this is my last point on this question. You know how in celebrity boxing nowadays, especially in the last year, you're having like Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather. I feel like that point in the boxing industry is hitting battle rap about 4 years ago.
Yeah, the boxing situation, you know, and it's funny because people always compare battle rap to boxing, right? They're like, oh, he won this round 10-9, that round 10-8 or whatever.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I try to explain to people, like, it's not comparable, though, because boxing has tangible punches. Like, just because a rapper says a punchline doesn't mean it was good. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But boxing has, like, punches and landed punches, you know. Yeah, part of me too is like, you know, shit or get off the pot. You know, stop making these, like, I might, like, what if I did? Like, bro, shit or get off the pot. You know what I mean? So as much as people like to criticize Cassidy is a huge name. Every time he battles, it's headline kind of material. You know, regardless if you don't think, or whatever the case may be, he has money. You know what I'm saying? I don't know the man's pocket, but, like, he is an established industry rapper that comes back in battles. And I think that's dope. You know what I mean? I think that's dope. He doesn't dabble or, like, pussyfoot around it. He's like, all right.
He'll at least put himself in the ringer knowing, like, what to expect as far as how he used to do it back in the day.
Right.
And also to the aspect of this part with battle rapping, especially like you in your personal life. My next question is, do you think battle rapping molded the way you handle confrontation in your personal life?
Do I think battle rap helped me mold how I handle confrontations? Is that what you said?
Exactly.
Nah, I wouldn't say that. I mean, because battle rap is just so much preparation and practice, whereas real life, you know, shit happens. There's no practice and preparation for.
Okay.
So I think battle rap it's just a performance, right? So I'm running these rounds. I'm running these like. I don't think there's anything on a grander scale I can take from battle rap that I've applied to my life as a whole, as far as like how to handle real life situations, because the worst thing that can happen in a battle rap is I get smoked or I choke or something, right? At the end of the day, you know, I'm alive. I'm cool. You know what I mean? Like, so nah, I wouldn't say that. You know, I think battle rap has been so good to me over the years. You know what I'm saying? And it's definitely like I said before I was 18. I went to Lake Erie once. That's how far out of Pittsburgh I'd been. You know, and now I've been to Alaska multiple times and everywhere, and I've met some incredible people that are like lifelong friends. And it's and continue to be able to chase that dragon for years and years and years, man, because it is. People ask me, you know, every battle, they're like, "Yo, man, you've been battling so long, bro. Like you still get like I'm like, man, I get nervous every battle, bro. I get the butterflies
you have no idea
every
what
battle.
Like.
Every battle, I spend the 6 days leading up telling myself it doesn't matter what they say, and then I spend that very day like, oh my god, what if they have some incredible stuff? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I'm 100 and I think I'm 130 battles deep or something crazy like that. Yeah, man. Always. I always get the nerves, you know what I mean? But the relief when it's over and the connecting with the crowd is, you know, it's worth the gamble every time.
What question on this? Do you have a go-to shit show travel story that you feel like only you have experienced and only you feel like, okay, this can only happen to Real Deal?
I have so many of them that I would love to write like a book about it, but I don't, you know what I mean? I mean, I've had some incredible, and that's part of it too, man. Like I take battles and just to get up with some of the fellas that I don't see on a regular, you know what I mean? Man. Whew, let me think. I've had, cause there was the time in Alaska. The first time was funny because we rap in this bar. And I guess nobody told the regular patrons that there was a battle rap going on. So there's all these like Inuits in this bar, right? Who clearly don't understand what's going on. And afterwards, like there was no crowd, you know what I'm saying? They're just sitting at the bar drinking as we're like rapping at each other. And afterwards, this like skinny white hippie guy comes over. He's like, dude, that was awesome, man. You should do a rap for the whales. And I was like, I don't know, hey, what do you mean? He's like, no, like you could have a whale behind you. And I was just like, yo, bro, what is this dude talking? So that was good. I got one that was, so I did a 1-rounder in Cleveland against my man Ref, right? And at first of all, it wasn't a venue. It was just a department store that was somebody had the keys to. Okay, it was like a damn near like a Target, but like a cheaper one, right? Like a Goodwill or something. And they just moved clothing racks, right? So when I walked in, there's a loaf of bread, and there's a loaf of bread, peanut butter and jelly, and one knife. And someone's like, yo, if you hungry, make yourself a sandwich. I'm like, nah, I'm cool on that. Like, so we get in there, it's packed. There's 100 battles on the card, obviously. Well, the battle before mine, this dude brought his mom. I don't know why he brought his mom. I don't know, but so the other guy opens his roundup, looks directly at dude's mom and goes, "You mother sucks dick for Chipotle bowls." And everybody went crazy. There's all this mass confusion. I'm thinking like, oh my God, man, I hope somebody don't start shooting. Like, this is wild. I'm talking 15 minutes of melee. Finally, the host is like, yo, hold it down. Yo, hold it down. So they get back, and this is the battle right before mine. So I'm like, yo, he's like, all right, it's on you, man. We can't, like, you ready? And dude's like, y'all ready? Looks right back at her and says it again. I was like, yo, like, their battle had to take an hour and a half. It was so ridiculous, man. But at the end of the day, I think they was cool. Like, they didn't even, it wasn't no big thing or nothing, man.
How the heck? How can you say that with a straight face? That's a miracle that you were able to get through that story without dying laughing.
Man, because I literally, when it was happening, I was like, yo, I hope someone doesn't start shooting or something. Because there was like people was just pushing, not like pushing, but it was chaos. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh man. But it ended up they was cool, and then me and Ref had our one round, and it was cool. But yeah, man, I've literally, man, I've seen everything from people getting punched to people. I've seen. I'd like to say I've seen it all until I go to my next event. You know what I mean? And then I'm
that's a very true sentiment right there. Again,
maybe I hadn't seen it all.
Happen.
Yeah, I'm like, maybe I haven't seen it all. But yeah, man, that to be honest, man, that's one of the best parts, man, is traveling, going to see the fellas. You know what I mean? Like, you know, just random going to see people like Reverse Live or Thesaurus, people that I don't see as often unless it's in a battle event. And we all like are like the only ones that really know what we have in store. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like how difficult this is. So yeah, we have a ball, man.
Absolutely. And to kind of bring it to a point about something that has been impactful to you, especially in the last 2 years, I want you to tell people how they can be involved with the hashtag Justice for Charlie, as it's an exceptional example for how we fight and love for our families.
No, I appreciate you, man. Yeah, man. Like I you know, again, I have like shirts and hoodies. If you want to grab one, that's cool. It's not like, but some people are like, oh, is there like a cause I could do? I'm like, I'm not asking nobody for a dime. What I want is you to just let people know, because what's happening is, for those that are unfamiliar, just my father died from malpractice. And the struggle to get for a common person like you or I to get representation, to find out what to do, it's unbelievable. You're at the mercy of lawyers, right? And lawyers only take slam dunks. You know what I mean? And that medical error is the third leading cause of death in this country. Yeah. So my thought, and not, man, there's, when you peel back the layers of how not only terrible malpractice is, but they have literally an algebraic formula to determine what somebody's life is worth. Like, there is a lot of flaws, man. So at the beginning, I wanted justice for my dad. But now I want to see laws changed. I want to see some amendments. I think, first of all, the statute of limitations is 2 years. That's it. The statute of limitations for malpractice is 2 years. For receiving stolen property is 5. That's a problem. You know what I mean? That means if I'm a doctor and I kill your loved one, you got 2 years. If I give you a stolen TV from Walmart, they can come see you in 5. Wow. Who thought that? That is mind blowing, bro.
Like, it's processing to me. It's like it's still processing.
It's wild. I think, so that's the first thing. The second thing that needs to change. Let's say, because I've been turned down by 18 lawyers, right? And I'm currently talking to one. We're going to see where this goes. Let's say I wanted to be like, you know what? I'm going to put my own money up. I'm going to take them to court. That's what this country's supposed to be about, right?
Yeah.
You can't take a doctor or hospital to court without another doctor to co-sign you. It's called a certificate of merit. Now, I'm a teacher, bro. If you want to sue me, you don't need another teacher to tell you what's up. You could just put your money up and see me in court. Now, I'm not saying we should just open the floodgates and everything that happens in the hospitals. I'm not saying these people are malicious. I believe that there's good intent, but there's accountability and there's responsibility. You understand what I'm saying? When you performed an unnecessary procedure on my father, gave him an infection in which he died a brutal, brutal death, and then you could wash your hands of it and never. They don't. When people are found guilty of malpractice, they're not even fired. They just, first of all, their insurance pays. Yeah, and then they just take like a little local mark on their thing or whatever. And again, I'm not saying that, you know, that doctors are bad or all these things, but I'm saying there's accountability and responsibility. The other thing I think needs to happen, and my grand plan is for these things to go into effect. And I want to call, you know, like Charlie's laws or something, right? So the statute needs extended. I think there should be a middleman to help the common person like you or I out. So you have your lawyers here. I mean, unless there's one I don't know of, where there should be some kind of like medical air centers kind of thing that you call and they say, okay, this is what you need. You need to go get these. You need this form. So they can't, because they when they gave me my father's medical records, they pulled some stuff out. I didn't know about it till a year later.
Wow.
Right. And I had to have a HIPAA sign thing at them. So legally, they had to get, that's what I'm saying. They do shit like this to fuck with you. So there should be some middle agency, and they can be honest. They could be like, look, I'm sorry for your loss, but I don't think this constitutes or whatever. I'm not saying they should just be like, but there should be some kind of assisting before, because I equate it with lawyers. I equate it to having a big brother. So your lawyer's your big brother. Someone punches you in your face, but your brother's a coward. So it's like, what the hell good is this big brother if he's a coward or he only operates for himself anyway, right? There should be some kind of middle agency for the common man to say, all right, because first of all, you're grieving when you lose a loved one in mouth. You know what I mean? You're trying to figure out what happened. You're trying to put the pieces together, you know, and you're trying to do this in a 2-year span. 2 years is not a lot of time. So yeah, you know, just the hashtag, just if you do have a shirt or a hoodie, the beauty of it is that people, because my dad was such a unique looking character, people are going to ask you, like, oh, what's that about? And then you can tell them, hey, listen, I know this guy whose father was killed by malpractice, man. And he, you know what I mean? He's not going to take his line down, you know, because I'm going to push forward after the 2 years. 2 years doesn't mean nothing to me, you know?
This is a lifetime of detriment, as you deserve to keep fighting for the change that you need to make happen.
Yeah. And it's wild, man, because I think so often in this world, we hear law and rule and we just follow it. We don't question, we don't act, you know what I mean?
It's unfortunate.
So, yeah. I mean, look at all those videos, right? Where a cop pulls someone over and asks to see something. They're like, no, legally, I don't have to show you that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just using that as a loose example, but the doctor, like all these things that I'm learning, like when I learned about the statute, when I learned it's the third leading cause of death, I didn't know that. It's behind cancer and heart disease. You know what I mean?
Well, here's something to holistically bring your point to fruition. And this is something I caught on early in the pandemic. Because I remember I was watching your video like in late 2019. I remember in March of 2020, when Italy was going through the hospitalizations and how there was no more beds, how they were prioritizing who would be getting treatment and who would be left to die. I felt like that was the first synergy of your awareness to the point, seeing a real world example, especially on a holistic scale where it affects the entire world, and how just in the sense of numbers, using that anecdotally to determine people's lives.
Oh, I had a lawyer. I sat down with him for an hour and a half. And I'm not going to lie. He was blunt, which is cool because that's what I needed. But this is literally what he says. He says, listen, man, I'm really sorry about you lost your dad. And it absolutely looks like they gave him an infection. He said, but he was 70. He had comorbidities. I didn't even know what that word meant. You know, and basically like you've had some stuff in the past, you have your damaged goods. He's like, what do you think they're going to say his life is worth? And I'm thinking, wow, how can you tell me the most impactful, important man I've ever known? You know what I'm saying? And not only what is he worth, what about paying for his suffering? Like my father suffered. I tell people this, he died a worse death than Jeffrey Dahmer, a worse death than Ted Bundy. Like any of the worst horrific people you can think of had a smoother way out. You know what I mean? And so it really like it's callous, man. And that's why these lawyers, they're always like, oh, we don't get paid unless we get money for you. And Like, I had a lawyer literally say this to me. He said, yeah, it looks like they gave an infection for sure, but how can you prove that? I said, well, the procedure was done within 24 hours. He was in there with cold sweats, a fever, like that's pretty cut and dry. He goes, no, what we need is gross negligence. Like, for example, if they're supposed to operate on your left leg and they operate on your right. I'm like, that's what I need you. That's what you get paid to do? Differentiate the left and right leg? Like, or he goes,
that's shameful.
Or like, if you can prove that they dropped the scalpel in the toilet and brought it back out and just kept working on them. I'm like, these are the people that you have to lean on, though. And again, I'm not even trying to come at lawyers all like that. I know, since the beginning of time, there's been lawyer jokes and all this, but these are the people that have to get your back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Those are the people you got to lean on. It's not like the movies. Like, it's not like A Few Good Men. These people I'll take that case, because I believe in justice. That, man.
It's like trying to climb a ladder and not knowing when the top's going to be.
There it is. Yep. This is so I think there's a lot of things, man, that need put in place and worked on. And just my own example, man, like UPMC, they're the Pittsburgh hospital. They're a juggernaut. You know what I'm saying? And so some of the stuff they've done to me is literally just to fuck with me. Like when they shortchanged my medical records, when they took 43 days to give them to me instead of 30, which they're legally supposed to only take 30. It took 43 days only after. So I applied for my medical records, my dad's, immediately. 30 days pass. I'm like, where is my medical records? So one time I'm at a bar. This is probably 40 days later. I'm at the bar. I'm a little tuned up. I go on Twitter. I'm like, at them, like at UPMC, like, you fuckers are going to pay for this shit. Like, I get a call from the threat assessment team Monday at UPMC. They're like,
oh, wow.
Oh, they go, did you send this tweet? I go, yeah. Oh, is there something we can help you with? I said, my medical records. I had them within 2 days.
Look, in the sense,
is
to your point, this is an important thing. When people are aware and have injustice in their face, the measures that people are willing to take in defense of what you did, that's the real sense of radical change as far as how you get things done.
Yeah, and it's I'm thinking in my head, like, so you only called because you thought I was gonna go John Q or some shit? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I can't. First of all, I respectfully asked you for the records from you murdering my dad. Like, hey, by the way, you guys killed my dad. Can you give me the records for it? Like, so it just little shit, man. I firmly believe they called the National Cemetery and tried to get my music video taken down, which didn't work. You know what I mean? It just stuff. Then when I found out, I told you I'm on Lawyer 19. This is about 2 months ago. He goes, hey, man, you're missing some stuff here. I go, no, there's 6,000 pages there. He goes, you're missing some stuff. They left some stuff out. I couldn't believe it. So you shortchange. He goes, I'm going to send you this HIPAA letter. Sign it. Then I'm going to send it to them. And legally so they send me a whole nother disc.
Jesus.
But now I'm working with 6 months though. They robbed me of 11 months. And who knows what some of these other lawyers would have said with all the facts there.
Right.
So it's climbing Everest, man. That's what it is. And I'm up for it, because I like, again, as much as it's been a pain and as much as it's been, the support I've received, the messages that people have been like, oh my God, my uncle went in for this, or my aunt went in for this, or they were supposed to do this and they did this, or even nurses have been like, I could never publicly support you, but man, thank you. You know what I'm saying? Because the nurses for my dad were the absolute best. They were saints. And they're in the trenches taking grenades. So, yeah, it's weird, man. It's like it took on another, you know what I mean, a purpose. Like, gave me purpose from it. And my heart breaks for those people that this happens to, and they don't have a purpose to deter them. You know what I'm saying? Like, because man, it's the shit I seen with the hospital, what happened to my dad. I mean, it's damn near PTSD worthy. You know what I mean? I wouldn't throw that word around, but I'm so fortunate that I have something that to take my attention and to drive me forward, man. I can't imagine those people that don't, man.
Absolutely. And also in retrospect, and yes, what you talked about, ultimately we'll answer this question, but to hear more of this whole picture of Real Deal, what's the biggest change you want to see for yourself this year?
For myself?
Yep.
You mean like what change do I want to happen to me?
Exactly. So like after the pandemic, like what are some changes you want to see for yourself like in 2021?
Changes. You know what? So I tell you what, one thing I'm going to do for sure. I'm going to continue to push on my son, because my son, I really want to see him succeed with this. He does voice acting and stuff. Like, he loves voices and impressions. So I really want to continue to motivate him, because I've been privileged to watch so many people kind of blow up right before my eyes. Like, I watched Wiz Khalifa blow up.
Right.
You know, I was cool and knew Mac Miller and watched Mac Miller blow up. I knew Gabby Barrett and saw Gabby Barrett blow up. So like, I've seen from afar what it takes. And I really, really, really want to continue to like put my son in situations to succeed. Not that I'm not already. So that's one thing I definitely am looking to do. And, you know, I always have so much going on, man. So battle rap wise, just hold on to this belt as long as, you know what I mean, as long as possible. Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm anxious to get back in front of live crowds. I'm anxious to be able to travel again. I mean, I've been traveling. I still do, like, you know, a round battle here or there. But yeah, man, just to continue to push the album. I don't know if any of that's necessarily change per se. Well, you know what? Maybe honestly, to really work on my relationship with God.
Wow.
Maybe that. Because, you know, I went from angry, I'm still kind of angry, tried to bury that hatchet, but the anger's not really benefit, you know what I'm saying? So trying to see exactly where I stand and trying to take some steps in the right direction just to see. I'm not talking about getting saved or nothing like that, but I'm talking about, you know, maybe talking to somebody, you know, just about like how people deal when they're angry with God, instead of just assuming I can fix it myself.
I think that's a very realistic way to put yourself in people's shoes, as for the things that go on in your life versus however people go through their lives. There's a process in everything. There is a process and a journey for you to get from point A to point B. And the most important things are the details in between for you to get to those points.
And I think the biggest part of that too, man, is to put the pride aside for a second. I think so many of us, myself included, we think we can just handle, you know, we scoff at the idea of such things as like health counselors or marriage counselors, or, you know, well, we'll work on it. I can fix it. And again, I think with the God thing, like I was raised Catholic. My father actually believed in God, but he called him the Great Spirit. Like, he never called him God. He was a great spirit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So however you know, but I definitely, like, even when I tried to denounce God after what happened to my dad and I didn't believe it at heart. You know what I'm saying? I would speak it, but not believe it at heart. So I would like to get, in a state where, you know what I mean, I can repair my relationship with God. You know what I'm saying? And again, I don't mean anything super drastic, but maybe lean on some people or talk to some people that you know, will, instead of just thinking like, oh, you know, convincing myself that, you know what I mean, I can fix it.
Absolutely. Well, Real Deal, I must say, what a phenomenal episode this has been. This is the Change of Him podcast for episode 27. For those who want to check us out, you can please do so on Anchor, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Real deal. Thank you very much for joining me tonight, and have a great rest of your night.
I appreciate you, my man. Thank you, brother.
Absolutely. You too.